where the car is. He's like, it's at the
Junkers.
Yeah, the Junkers yard.
And he's like, you're fucking lying to me. And he's like, why would I be lying? And he's like, because you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah. And then he ends up believing him, and he's like, okay. And he's like, if you're lying to me, I'm gonna come back and cut off all your fucking toes.
You understand me?
Yeah. And then he lets go, and he starts to walk away, and Dustin ends up tackling him on the ground, and he's like, you piece of shit, and he's gonna wail on him, and Hesher ends up.
He throws this big ass engine into the sliding glass door.
Yeah.
And he picks up Dustin with the clippers, and he like takes a chunk out of his nose.
Yeah.
Which is brutal. And he just throws him into the kitchen. And TJ's like, what the fuck is the matter with you? I already told you, like, I never want to see you again.
Yeah.
And Hesher's confused. Yeah, he's very confused, like, what? And so TJ throws a fit and takes off and leaves Hesher in that living room of Dustin. And then we cut to him going back home in the rain, riding in the rain.
Yeah.
It's raining hard. He gets to his front yard, and Hesher finds him. He pulls up and says, hey, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And TJ's like, no, fuck you, get away from me.
Yeah, and they get in a little wrestling
match on the front lawn, and that's when his dad runs out, and TJ's dad runs out to help him.
Yeah.
And Hesher says, don't ever fucking touch me, and he socks him in the face.
Yeah.
And then TJ jumps on his back, and then Hesher throws both of them down and says, fuck both of you motherfuckers.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and he leaves. And then
TJ ends up taking off, sneaking into the junkyard.
To basically, he wants to sit in the car.
Yeah, and he finds it on top of a pile of cars, and he ends up falling asleep. And then he has this dream about the scenario of when his mother died in the car accident.
He's like,
and then explains the attachment to the car, because that's kind of the last time he remembers seeing her alive. And you see what happens, how the car accident happens, and then it cuts to the car shaking, and he's waking up, and they're getting ready to smash the car, basically.
And he's still inside.
He's inside, and he flips out of the car, out of the front of the windshield, and he kind of falls on the ground, and one of the workers runs over there. He's like, what the hell are you doing here, kid? And then he's like, I don't know. And then he just takes off, and he ends up going home, and the dad is pretty upset when he gets home, right?
Yeah, because he was out all night.
Yeah, he's like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
How is this fair to me?
Yeah.
And he just says, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they both get ready for the service.
Yeah.
Of the grandmother, Madeline.
Yeah, and that's when Natalie Portman's character, Nicole, she shows up, and she tries to basically apologize to TJ, because she understands that, he had a crush on her, and she's like, I'm apologizing, I'm sorry for what I did, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. And he's like, it's okay. He's like, you're not. He's like, I forgive you or whatever. He's like, you're not fat. And she's like, okay, I'm not fat, but I'm still a prostitute. And he's like, maybe, I don't know. And
she walks up to him and kind of fixes his tie.
Yeah, she does a tie for him, because he doesn't know how to do it. And she kind of just takes off. She's like, I'll see you later. And then he's like, okay, bye. And then they end up going to the funeral service, or the viewing for his grandmother. And they have one of her neighbors goes up to talk about her, and then after she's done, she goes and she tries to get TJ to come up and say a few words about his grandma, and she convinces him to go up there, and he kind of just stands up there, and I don't think he doesn't ever really say anything. And then he goes to sit down because he's kind of embarrassed, I think, and you hear this obnoxious clapping in the back, and Hesher is there with his tall can
of Paps.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, fucking beautiful TJ. He's like, I just want to piggyback off of what he said, and he's like, I want to say a few things, and then he goes on to that story I talked about earlier about the one nut, and kind of using that as like their family, saying that like you guys are going through this stuff, but you still have each other, basically. And he ends up
he gets upset. He throws his beer can and he ends up throwing up.
Yeah.
And at that point, they're like, okay, we got to get this guy out of here.
Yeah.
And he refuses, and he's like, you know what? I told her that we were going to go out for a walk, and that's exactly what's going to go.
So he takes the casket, and it's on, like, you know, a gurney.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, and he goes up to TJ. He's like, I'm taking her on a walk. I told her. He's like, this is your chance to do what you said you're going to do. You told her you're going to take her on a walk. And then so he goes out, and he's pushing her down the street. And then you see TJ and the dad run out, and they're kind of staring at him, like, in disbelief, really. And then I think they get this overwhelming sense of, like, this is something that they have to do. Mm-hmm. This last kind of goodbye, like a send-off, basically. And they chase after Hesher, and they both put their hands on the casket and help push it down the street. And they're kind of, you know, walking or doing, you know, their last walk together. And they're both, all of them are crying. And it's the next day, right? And you see that TJ's dad has decided to shave his beard off. He's kind of he's moving on, kind of moving on with life. Healing, yes. Yeah. And he's like, Hesher's gone. He's like, oh, and TJ's like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, come see this. He left something for us. And we go out to the driveway, and there's the crunched up car that TJ was so fixated on.
Yeah, he knew the whole time.
Yeah, and it's just crunched up in the driveway. And it's a really nice shot, I think, of both of them just standing there, and they're kind of staring at the car. Mm-hmm. And then the camera kind of zooms out, and you see up on the roof, it says Hesher was here.
Yeah.
And I thought it was spray painted on the roof, which was hilarious. And he kind of just, I'm assuming he just disappears and goes into the wind and
basically moves on.
Yeah. And I thought that, and then the story ends.
I feel like it's this really kind of unorthodox take on grieving.
Yes.
And how everybody like heals in their own way. In which case, TJ needed the car. Mm-hmm. You know, he was trying so desperately to keep a hold of this one thing that reminded him of his mother, who's not around anymore. So it plays on that, and then how Hesher comes in, and he's kind of the glue that keeps the very odd glue that keeps the foundation of everything kind of moving. Yeah, you know, and I think Hesher himself kind of realizes that he needs to help these people, and then once he's done that, he moves on. Yeah. So it's very interesting, and I love this movie.
Hell yeah.
It was really good.
This is a really good movie. I highly recommend checking it out again if you haven't seen this.
Hesher.
Yeah, Hesher.
It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
And that concludes our discussion of the film.
Yes.
So what do we got, man? Anything? Any last words for me?
Check out our Instagram at @DropTheMic_podcast. We're pretty active on that.
On it?
Yeah, we're on it all the time. You can comment on all our posts. You can tell us. You can write us on our DMs, and you can, if you don't want to be so public about our conversations, you can ask us what movies you want us to watch, or what movies we want to review. Anything about news, if you're interested in any type of news, a topic or anything, you can always comment on there, like our stuff. Yeah. Tell your friends about it. You can find all of our episodes on pretty much every podcast platform, wherever you can listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play. Mm-hmm. Spreaker, you said?
Yeah, Sods. Stitcher.
Yes.
Which is a big one. And anything else that you can think of?
Anything, there's a lot of probably third-party stuff that we don't know we're attached to.
I think I put the links up on Facebook typically, so if you want to look through that way, maybe we'll open a Twitter and start putting up episodes that way to kind of get a bigger following. Spotify? Did we say Spotify?
I think we're on Spotify, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and give us those 5 stars, please.
Leave us a positive review.
Yeah, any kind of review you can do. If you have a few seconds, just set that aside and please do that for us.
Yeah.
Help us keep this moving.
Oh yeah, it's fun. We like doing it.
Yeah, we love recording. I think it's and to be able to have done this so consecutively for so long.
Oh yeah,
we've been up for
over a year.
Yeah, almost 2 years now. Because we just had our second annual Halloween, the horror film segments all month. So yeah, it's very fun. It's very fun to have this kind of schedule and have things keep working out.
Yeah.
And we hope you like what we're putting out there.
Yeah.
And if not, constructive criticism is always welcome.
Yeah, let us know.
You know, and we'll try harder to be better. But we're doing the best we can as of right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's. Do you want to jump into an interview real quick?
Yeah, sure.
All right, here it is.
So I'm a huge advocate of this movie, as you might imagine.
Thank you.
I've been describing it to my friends as Bad Santa meets Fight Club meets Beavis and Butthead. And, you know, because I sort of saw Hesher as almost a mystical character in this movie. At various points you're even thinking it's like, is this like a Tyler Durden? Is this this kid's id?
Right.
You know, showing up to bring up everything that's frozen in this house?
Yeah, I think that's astute.
Thank you. Could you speak a little bit to that sort of the mystical sort of... Rain actually described Hesher as death.
As
embodiment of the Grim Reaper. Right?
Yeah, well, I think you could see him that way, and I want audiences to see him any number of ways, and I think the director Spencer constructed the character to be multifaceted in that way. My job, since I'm playing him, is to keep him a human being.
Yeah.
Because once you start viewing somebody as a symbol, it starts to get really loosey-goosey and sort of silly, and we wanted to keep this movie feeling real. And not just like a caricature. You know, oftentimes in movies where you have a big, broad character at the center like that.
And that's what my friends have been afraid of. That's what I've been.
It's just going to be that shtick over and over again. It's going to be like
somebody doing a metal guy. Like it's going to be hipster. It's going to be
So that's what's really cool about this story is it goes somewhere. There's layers underneath, and that's the thing about Hesher. In fact, he calls himself Hesher, but he's not. He's not a Hesher. I mean, he might look kind of like one. But
you look like Cliff Burton, actually. And I was wondering if that was your inspiration, because you look exactly like Cliff Burton.
That was exactly our inspiration. Funny, you should have picked that up. You didn't read that somewhere?
No, I swear to God.
Really?
Yeah, no. In fact, if you want to dig up my Twitter feed, I tweeted that when I walked out.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
No, that's something we were exactly talking about, like the same skull on his arm, the same hair.
He's got the Misfits Crimson Ghost in the same place, and,
yeah.
and even just the way that the cigarette hangs out of your mouth and the little mustache.
Well, we were paying a lot of attention to Cliff Burton, actually, and that was one of the songs I listened to a lot. There's this on the first Metallica album, Kill 'Em All.
Yeah,
there's
that's
like
what you're
just that
in
bass
the garage.
solo. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that piece of music. He's you can tell he's just kind of going for it, and that's Hesher for you. He wouldn't go by something he composed. He would just sort of play.
Yeah. Have you said that before, the Cliff Burton thing? Is that out there?
I have, but that's cool you picked up on it. Metallica picked up on it too, and we showed them the movie.
They didn't used to let music be in movies.
They never let music be in movies.
Was the first time. Yeah.
They don't let music be in movies.
They have to really, be behind it. And with the logo and everything. I mean,
it was a real honor that they would let us do that, and sort of the greatest approval you could ask for. To have the guys who inspired it dig it. Mm-hmm. Meant a lot to me. I grew up listening to Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets and stuff, and so it meant a lot to me.
Yeah, I was at the Big Four just a few days
ago. Oh, yeah? How
was
was it?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
That's funny.
It was everything you'd want it to be.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it was great that there's, Hesher doesn't really have a name. There's no parents. There's no girlfriend. There's no job. There's no, a lot of that allows us to sort of put what we want into it and to really focus on the deep emotions that are actually on the screen, because underneath this layer of kind of subversive, unrelenting humor and crudeness, there's some really dark places that this movie goes, and ultimately it's redeeming. It's kind of, I sort of saw it as like an indie drama disguised as Hesher,
I think that's well put.
Yeah. So what do you tell people about this movie when you're describing to them what it is?
I would say, you know, it's. What do I tell people about this movie?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, this movie's called
you're
Hesher.
gonna laugh. It's funny, but it's also, you know, it's a movie about dealing